a man has more leverage with his money to attract women than women have leverage with their money to attract men. There's a couple distinct differences between male and female, men and women, and when it comes to money, not money in and of itself, because as I've discussed in other content too, money doesn't really exist. It's implemented to create a form of value so we can exchange goods and services. But money doesn't actually exist. It has to be created, it has to be implemented. So we attribute money in our mind to, oh, if I have X amount of dollars, I can achieve this certain thing. So money to a certain point definitely helps make life a little bit smoother, acquire the basic necessities, a little bit of luxury, and all of that. So when it comes to something like having somewhere to live and having not only enough food to eat, but healthy food to eat, these are things in society that we live in and just life in general that are important for getting by. So going up the ladder, so to speak, a man and a woman, it's going to be completely different for what it is that they can leverage with that, because a man's going to have an easier time taking his money and putting it in different areas to affect his lifestyle positively to then attract a female. He's gonna have an easier time to do that than she will getting the same money to upgrade her lifestyle to then attract a male. Because whenever you talk about this too, someone will always say, well, it's modern day, it's 2021, women can also work, they can make more money than men, but in general, it's just not going to work out as great with those dynamics, because as much as everyone wants to be politically correct and everybody's equal kind of talk, which is good to a certain point, but then sometimes it gets to the point in this culture where you can't even look at someone and say that that's a man or a woman because, oh, how dare you assume my gender. There's people like that. It's getting like that a lot out here with a lot of people. Just the walking on eggshells, not wanting to slightly offend anyone by their own discretion. It's exhausting. Because one, it's just false. There are differences between men and women. Equals, but different. And so it's naive to continue to get older and just ignore those things. So testosterone and estrogen are going to be two very different things when it comes to men and women. So when it comes to getting money, acquiring money, going out into the world to convince somebody to pay you money, which will then give you more leverage in the economy to get that house, get that food, get that car, improve your health, fitness, opportunities, travel, leisure, luxury. The testosterone and the estrogen playing into that is just going to be different. So you're not really going to see in society a lot of women millionaires and billionaires that are just going to have a line of dudes waiting to move in with them. Yes, you could say that someone will find her for her money, but in terms of just the dynamics of that working out, most women aren't going to want to be the breadwinner taking care of some guy like he's her son. That's just a fact of how most women are going to view that. Even women that say they're feminists and go to women's marches and protests, they're not generally attracted to the guy that's there at the women's march. They're generally more attracted to the guy that's not there because he's living his own path, living his own life, and getting results because of that. How are you guys? I have the amber magnets are 15, stickers are 5.
Amber.
Yeah, it's got the amber wood resin in there.
Oh, that's beautiful. And the sea lion.
Yeah, it's got the seal right on there.
Wow.
Thanks guys, enjoy the rest of your day. So when it comes to a man ascending in the world versus a woman ascending in the world in terms of money, those opportunities are going to play out different because of the testosterone, because of the estrogen. And also too, if we want to get more into the spiritual aspect of that, the divine masculine, the divine feminine, there's reasons that men tend to be more alpha, more aggressive, more assertive, more blunt, more logical, if you will, more cold emotionally, generally rising to positions of power and leadership. There's a reason that that tends to play out that way. So when someone gets all offended by what they think are gender roles, a lot of things, there's a reason that those roles existed. There's a reason that you see all these companies and governments, institutions, militaries, these are all run by men. There's a reason for that, biologically and spiritually. So yes, men and women are equal, but you can't deny certain differences in how that's going to play out. So the man coming up in the world, he's always going to ascend if he plays his cards correctly. So taking a job seriously, taking his health seriously, taking his goals seriously, his life, his spirituality, just everything. A man that's getting on point with those subjects will always ascend in the world, because that's just the way that that's going to play out in terms of the man being the provider, the leader, being seen as the one as the protector, the alpha. So as he's acquiring more and he's learning more and he's making mistakes and rebounding from those mistakes and coming up in the world, he's always going to increase his stock, so to speak. Now when it comes to women, they have the fertility to bear the child and the estrogen. So that's just kind of innately there. So that's why you kind of see it differently with women, where they just kind of have the package, and then their efforts through the world in terms of money and the economy doesn't really do anything in the dating world, in the sexual marketplace, because it's viewed differently. So women nowadays, especially going to college, and more women working, getting their degrees, education, as opposed to a lot of areas in the world still, and even earlier in our society, where a lot of women would be stay-at-home moms, wives, and all of that. Nowadays, in 2021, you got a lot more women that are actually in college than men, and doing different things with their lives, which is not a bad or a good thing, it's just a thing. But like anything, it's going to have a reaction to that. There's a cause and effect to anything. So ignoring these biological realities, you do get these situations where the woman is being told, okay, high school, college, party, do whatever, tattoos, piercings, get your degree, focus on you, sleep around, do whatever you want, listen to these media influences, the music, and then as they're doing the school thing and the partying, different jobs, different guys, whatever, them being 35, finally looking for the family, or finally looking for the right one by their definition, finally looking for the kids, finally looking to settle down now, as they say. It's just going to be different for a woman at 35 or 40 than a man at 35 or 40. So if she's been conditioned in this way of go to school, get your degree, make your money, her at 35 or 40 with all this money, it doesn't really offer the man the same thing as him offering it to her in that same circumstance. Because when it comes to children, she has the fertility, so she can have $1 billion, but if she's 40, then you know that's at that point. So it's kind of like, it's one of those things. I mean, you can decide between you and a certain woman to not have kids, and so you could be in a childless relationship, but those dynamics are still going to play out, because regardless of whether you choose to have kids or not, that's a conscious choice that you can make. But biologically and spiritually, you're still ingrained with these concepts, the testosterone, the estrogen, the divine masculine, the divine feminine. So even a childless couple, those power dynamics are still there. The whole guy having the testosterone, being the alpha, being the leader, and the woman having the estrogen. Just the biological and spiritual differences are always there. So a woman that's being convinced to go to school, get her education, make all this money, tattoos, piercings, party, do whatever. Same thing with guys. A guy or a girl that's being convinced of this stuff or whatever, it's gonna have a cause and effect later in life. But say there's a guy and a girl going through life as teenagers and then their 20s, and then say at 30, let's just call 30 the adult age where most people finally wake up to more mature realizations about the world and mistakes that they made in their past. Well, there's a big difference between a 30-year-old man learning from his mistakes and a 30-year-old woman learning from her mistakes, because they're in two different parts of their lives in terms of what they actually offer the other. Me as a man that just turned 27, I can take my foot off the gas. I can just chill. I can focus on my future. I can focus on my life, on my money, my health, my spirituality, because I'm always going to ascend. I'm always going to go up. I'm always going to be on the upward path with that, because I could meet a girl right here on the street right now and say I don't provide or match up with her in a way that she sees fit. That's perfectly fine. I can still continue to work and do my thing. In 3 years from now, at 30, I could be in a better situation in terms of my housing, my finances. Right now, I'm out here selling for my business, La Jolla Cove Headwear, and doing consignment with some other shops and other people's items. But yeah, I just started this business. So being self-employed is very new to me. Just this summer, after turning 27, I actually started the business on my birthday, June 12th. So as I'm getting things going, if I meet a woman and I'm like, yeah, I just started this business, that's different than having an established business with employees under you, where you're just collecting checks at this point because you've already built it up and you're the owner. Maybe you have a storefront, you hire a manager, the manager hires employees. You don't even have to be there. You're just collecting residuals. So if you're a man that's there, you have the ability to just meet that woman, that same woman on the street, and because you have those residuals and the time freedom, you can just say, hey, let's go on a 2-week vacation, just on me, let's just now. And then if she says, oh, well, I have work, I have this, just pay her the amount that she would be losing from work so she could take it off. But see, that's what comes as a man that's ascending in the world, because those opportunities are always going to present themselves if he so chooses. Because say he's that 18-year-old high school kid that hasn't done anything yet, and now he's a 38-year-old man that owns that business, hired the manager, where the manager hires all the other employees and he just collects checks. Well, he's a 38-year-old man now. He has a whole array of women that would like him. He's got the cougars that are older than him. He's got women his own age, and then women younger than him, younger than 38 at that point. He can choose one of them to just start a family. He's a 38-year-old man now. Like I said in the example, starts as an 18-year-old high school kid, hasn't done anything yet, right, living with parents. So there's other men in the world that have already established themselves. They're older, bigger, stronger, smarter, more sophisticated, their facial hair's grown in, all of that stuff. So he's this 18-year-old high school kid starting at the bottom of the barrel. His stock is just not going to be what it's at when he's 38. That's just how the trajectory of that goes. But now that he's 38 and he's not a high school kid anymore, and he owns that company and he has the time freedom and he can just basically choose to do whatever he wants with his day because he's got the money coming in and the time freedom to do whatever and go wherever. As a 38-year-old man, he offers to like any woman, anything. So it's not to say that 100% of women are still gonna go for him, because it's always a 50-50. There's always going to be wins and losses, and who likes you, who doesn't like you for whatever reason. It's always changing, and you're never going to be able to get a 100% lock on that stuff. But that's the point of that, is that the man is always going to ascend if he plays his cards correctly. So it's a matter of taking these concepts in with the red pill and using them not only to your advantage with dating and sex, but just your life in general as a man, in improvement, philosophy, spirituality, health, everything. Understanding what it means to see the world from a red pill lens versus a blue pill lens, and use that knowledge for your own self-improvement. So it's going to be different. You think about someone that gets a huge lump sum of money from either a trust fund or a relative dies or the lottery. Putting $10 million into the bank account of a man is different than putting $10 million into the bank account of a woman, because if you take any random man or any random woman right now and give them that $10 million, that man has so many options with what he could do with that, because it's different to have the testosterone and to have the penis versus the vagina and to be able to spread over multiple, so to speak, as opposed to bearing one for 9 months. So it's a different set of opportunities that come up with that. So like I said, they can choose, the couple or whatever, they can choose to not have kids, but those biological realities, those spiritual realities are there for how just the relationship's going to function. That's why I find it funny when anyone's like, oh, well, women can make as much money as men, or women can make more than men. It's like, how often do you see that those relationships are functional or happy? A lot of relationships, I mean, let's be honest, most relationships have a lot of issues, especially when you get into marriage and the legal contract and the government being involved in your bedroom. But just day-to-day stuff, it's hard enough to even get yourself in a good place and be okay with what you're doing and make sense of your own identity, your own life path, and all of that. It's even harder to bring someone else into the fold with that. So you're never going to have this one complete answer on the thing to go do. There's no right or wrong thing. There's no correct or incorrect path. But in general, when it comes to money, when it comes to the economy, when it comes to this exchange of value that we're kind of forced to play under, it's going to be different to give the $10 million to the guy versus the $10 million to the girl, because like I said, he just has so many opportunities opened up just from you giving him $10 million. If the woman's given $10 million, yes, she has individualistic life opportunities from that, but what's she going to do? Okay, I have $10 million, so convince this guy to come live with me? Where there are plenty of guys would jump on that for a variety of reasons, but it's just going to cause certain things when she's the one who has all the money, the financial decision making. She's in charge of it. She's running the show. She's wearing the pants. That's just going to be different with sexual attraction and just their day-to-day life and how they view each other and how much respect she'll actually have for him. All of that factors in. So if she's been working her whole life and then comes across a bunch of money through work, or like I said, trust fund, relative dies, lottery, what's she going to do as a 45-year-old woman just with $10 million? She can't have a kid. And if she convinces a guy, yeah, the guy could go for the money, but at the same time, it's just our wiring is not that way. Especially a guy, this is the ironic part of that, a guy that she would really find attractive, that really gets her going, that really turns her on. That kind of guy, ironically, is not just going to jump into her life just because she has money, just to freeload off of her. A guy that she's going to actually be attracted to and get turned on by, he's not going to be the guy that's just going to go into her life just because she has money. Because he's going to be making his own money. Or if he doesn't make a lot of money, he's on purpose and he has things to do, and he's good looking and his fitness is good and he's smart and he's educated and he's well spoken and he's a leader and he go gets it and he starts businesses. That's who she's going to be attracted to. So like, if she just comes across a bunch of money, yeah, she can convince somebody, some guy out there is going to obviously go for that, but it's not going to be what she could have gotten had she just understood fertility and hypergamy and intersexual dynamics from a younger age, and had they taught this stuff from a younger age. Because women that want to lock down the best guy they can possibly get, or have a family, or even just be single, whatever their goals are, their long-term strategy, they need to really hone that in, ironically, the high school and the college years. The teen years after they have the period through early 20s. That's going to be her best opportunity to lock down the highest value guy. It's not going to be the woman acquiring a bunch of money and then go leveraging the guy the same way that he could acquire a bunch of money and leverage the woman. Two totally different aspects there.